I love the ETRC. It's a very cozy place, especially on a snowy day like today. It's nice to be inside and warm. And thank you all for coming, especially from so far away. Did you travel to Kyiv today? Oh, were you driving or on the train? Oh, well, that's good. Driving? Ah.
Driving to bus, on the bus. We were riding on a bus
Oh,
for 6 hours.
I bet. Yeah. The weather today is not conducive to driving or riding on a bus. So, congratulations on coming. Thank you very much. So today we're going to talk about the way we learn, the way people learn, the way our students learn, the way human beings learn. We're going to talk about perceptual learning styles and multiple intelligences. Okay. So most of you are teachers, you're all teachers, so many of you have probably heard some of these terms. First, we're going to talk a little bit about what perceptual learning styles are. We'll have an activity where you actually determine what your learning style is. Then we're going to talk about why that's important, and we'll move on to multiple intelligences. We'll talk about multiple intelligences, and then you'll do a few activities that are representative of what you can do in the classroom to touch on various multiple intelligences. So you'll be doing some activities, we'll be talking about them, and it should be fun. So let's start talking about perceptual learning styles. I'm sure most of you have heard of the term perceptual learning styles. They're the way that we as human beings take in information most successfully. So there are 4 major perceptual learning styles. Can you guess what they are? Visual.
Audio.
Auditory. Kinesthetic. Great. And, do you know this word?
Bunsen.
Tactile. Great. We can actually break visual down into 2 sort of subsets. So one of these, visual, somebody who likes to read, who likes to work with words, it would be considered visual. You like words, you like to read. Visual, close. Verbal, good. Visual, verbal. And so the opposite of visual verbal is visual nonverbal, good. So for example, I would bet, since we are all teachers, especially of language, that most of us in this room have a strength in visual verbal. Would you agree? Do you like words? Of course you do, yes. And my husband, who makes films, also works with his eyes, but he is visual nonverbal. He thinks in pictures. I think in words. But I think it's interesting, when I looked at these 4 perceptual learning styles, I know that I'm visual. And 80% of people in the world learn visually. They learn through their eyes. But all of us usually have at least one other perceptual learning style that is strong for us. How many of you, let's just take a guess, how many think your number 1 strength is visual? Yeah, I think you're probably right. What about auditory? Maybe? Okay. Tactile? You're tactile? And kinesthetic? Well, we're going to do a little quiz so you can determine what your learning styles are. because it is often very surprising. So, most people can guess what their first strength is. Most of us will be visual, but I think you'll find it interesting that you may have strengths in other learning styles, maybe ones that you didn't automatically experience or guess. So I have a questionnaire here. How it's going to work is you have 30 statements, and you have to choose either I strongly agree to these statements, I agree, I'm undecided, I disagree, or I strongly disagree, and put a little mark in the appropriate box. So for example, number 1, when the teacher tells me the instructions, I understand better. For me, I would say that's strongly disagree, because I have to see it. I'm a good listener, but my learning through my eyes is much stronger than my thing. Or number 2, I prefer to learn by doing something in class. For me, I would put A. I would put agree for that. All right? So don't overthink this. Sort of whatever your first response, your first idea is, check that off. And if you just don't know, undecided. All right? So I'll send these around. Take one and pass it on. Take one and pass them down. I'll give you about 7 minutes. Oh.